My description of Stellenbosch's campus has always been somewhat of a metaphorical radioactive campus. A hub of political activity, and one that is thick with socio-economic issues. STOMP was an initiative I started to get to the bottom of some of these issues and help students deal with social injustice. This August, STOMP is running an initiative for National Women's Month called She Still Stands. It's always been a personal journey of mine to speak about the experiences that women have to endure. Speaking about these issues is important regardless of what month it is. In 1956, more than 20,000 women of all races marched to the Union buildings in Pretoria in protest of the apartheid Dompas. The 4 women leading this protest were Lillian Ngoyi, Rahima Musa, Sophia Williams, and Helen Joseph. These women were and still are pillars of community. It's very difficult to speak about Women's Day without going into the depths of apartheid history. South Africa in the 1950s was an extremely volatile place to live. The Dawn Pass was a passport issued to black individuals that restricted their movement within South Africa.
So the husband and the baby can stay here, but
Yes.
she can't?
No. She's been endorsed out and told to go back to Port Elizabeth, or that's where she belongs, so that she has no rights anywhere now.
A history as rich as South Africa's has the ability to inform our actions today. These women stood for us. It's important that women these days stand for one another. What do you think is the most pressing issue facing female students right now?
Definitely gender-based violence. I can't even count on my hands the amount of rape cases that have happened since I've been here. It was never a question of how to teach men not to rape. It was always a question of how can women not be raped. The conversation shouldn't be about why we should protect women. The conversation should be about why aren't we protecting women.
I believe that men are often reluctant to take part in these types of deep, meaningful conversations that have to do with Women's Month and women's rights is because they are scared to admit the ways in which they could be complicit. Taking accountability for that is extremely important in developing a healthier South Africa for all.
Responding to Women's Day with actual curiosity to make you go further than just like, okay, this is how I should act, because I feel like that closes the door for you to actually know.
Women's Day has always been a big thing in my family. My grandmother was the backbone of the family, being there for each other. Something that we can still fix as a community and as women.
How do you think men should react when conversations about gender are brought up?
It's more important to listen, understand from their point of view first. I don't think that men should avoid the conversation. I think it's important conversations to have. A lot of the time we can ignore important conversations just because we're like, oh, we don't know enough, or we're too scared to speak about it. And I think that is like a big problem. It's like being too scared to speak about it. The girlfriends that I've made at university, I've really learned a lot from them. Once you kind of learn and see other people's experiences, it kind of shifts your perspective.
How prominent would you say misogyny still is in male-dominated spaces?
I don't think it has gotten any better. I think it's still an issue. Like, I have a sister and I have a mom, and you always have to remember, like, you know, that's someone else's like daughter, someone else's sister. Would you want that to happen to your daughter, to your mom?
Stellenbosch is such an interesting case. There are so many people from so many different walks of life that live here. But there is no doubt that there are still individuals that view Stellenbosch as a white-only space, let alone a space where women belong. It's incredibly frustrating hearing the things men have said to both my face and when my back was turned. And what's worse is that I know this is not an isolated experience. It baffles me how normalized misogyny has become. Misogyny in Stellenbosch ranges from a get back in the kitchen joke to blatant harassment. This campaign was incredibly healing for me to produce, and my only aim is that it has the same effect on the women watching this.
I stand for human rights, animal rights, and equal rights.
I stand for women's health.
I stand for comfort.
I stand for courage.
I stand for unconditional love.
Radical acceptance. Community.
Honesty.
Love.
Empathy. Respect.
Kindness. Feminism.
Individuality. Compassion.
I stand.